Hi there, I'm Allie Elliott.
Hi, I'm Allie Elliott. Welcome to my stream tonight. I'm at a different time, so it'll probably be shorter than normal. But I had a chance to shoot some more images for some concept shoots, and I really am dying to kind of get going on this because I already see some things that I should have shot a little bit differently. But that's okay. That's part of the fun. So we finished quite a few last week for competition, and then I missed deadlines to get these in the first couple of competitions. But that's okay because I want to do these right, so there's no rush. And that's a good thing because I'm not early. All right, so this title is going to be So You'll Remember. And the concept you can see is Grandpa and his grandbaby. And this is actually my dad and my youngest. And he's going to hand her a locket, and the locket is going to be her grandmother. So, already, this is probably the best. I should have had him take his glasses off. We can digitally take his glasses off if we need to. And we might just take the glare out so that you can still see his eyes really well. So we'll play with that a little bit and see what we want to do. This is going to be a really low key image, so it's going to be mostly dark, and the highlights will be the important parts. And that is real similar to my numbered days image, and truly really similar to a lot of my concept work. That's where I'm most comfortable at for sure. So I'm going to open up this folder again and see if I can pull one. So in this one, her hands are well below it, but I like how they're cupped in this one a little bit better. So we'll keep going. And this is a locket that belonged to my great grandmother. And the baby in there is my older sister, but she looks shockingly, my youngest daughter right here looks shockingly like my sister. I'm going to open this one up because I really like the light fall on this locket. So let's go ahead and get that opened up. We're at 3401. And I'm just going to circle the part that I want to use. I don't know if I'm going to pull his hand from there or from the other one. What I am going to do is lower both of their hands. I would like their hands to be lower than their eye line so that nothing is breaking the plane between their eyes. So that would have been much easier to just shoot, but I didn't. So here we are, okay. So she scooted a little closer. I might end up just using these and bringing that up, like shortening it a little bit. That might end up being the best, especially since we've got some other kind of hands to draw from. Yeah, in fact, I think I'll do that. 3407. So I'm just going to draw her thumb from this. And this is an example of me making it more complicated than it needs to be. All right, and if you hear yelling behind me, my kids are playing Minecraft, so it gets intense. All right, so as much as I want to just go ahead and start coloring it and all that good stuff, I'm not going to do that yet. That'll be for the end. I want to go through these images. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm trying not to scowl. I say that every time, but then I scowl. So I don't see any more with his arm bent. So we're just gonna have to go with what we got here. So I'm gonna duplicate so I always have a backup. All right. And then they've got good eye contact. So I think I'm gonna go with kind of an alternative crop. With this, I'm gonna go a little bit taller because I would like for them to be closer to each other. That would have been much easier to just shoot, but I didn't. Let's see. That'll do. So we'll just have to create that with our composition rather than from the actual image. So I'll go ahead and pull. All right, his arm is more bent than the other one, so I'm just gonna grab this. And we might end up, there we go. I thought about making, I kind of trailed off in my sentence, but I was considering maybe making the locket a little bigger so that you could see what image is in it. But I don't think we will because I don't want to take away from the rest of the story. And just kind of dance through there so that it's not a real, in fact, I'm going to brighten that for some reason. Just a little discrepancy in the shutter. Or no, it's not in the shutter, it's in the lights. They just didn't respond as quickly. So I'm gonna make sure that we can see the edges of her hand, and then I can grab from here and just make that a little bit easier. Because it's such a minute difference. But if you get it wrong, then it's super noticeable. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this. See, you hear the Minecraft players up there. Okay, so I'm going to lower the opacity so that I can line these up a little bit and then likely use my warp tool, which comes in handy because it's a nice quick. Okay, so I definitely want to erase back, but I want to do it with a pretty small brush because I don't want to go too far. And I love the light. On her hand. So I definitely want to preserve that. Oops, oh, I don't want to do that. Okay. And again, this is definitely something that I could have just, you know, shot correctly the first time. But I was just really grateful that my dad came in to help me out with this because I think it'll be a nice concept. Oops. All right, so I'm going to just grab clone tool on that background layer and make sure that this all gets cleaned up properly. All right, so that's the locket and that's her hand. So that matches up pretty well. Okay, and that also took from where we kind of bent the image. That kind of took that out so that it's still, the weight is still perfectly perpendicular. All right, so I'm going to merge these layers and duplicate. And then we'll probably save a progression here in just a minute. We got into a little dark spot there. So we'll go a little bigger. That's really big, but okay. All right, so I'm going to save this as a progression, which this is just progress now. By the end of the night, maybe we'll be on 3 or 4. Okay, and then we'll get rid of these. Oops. So I can open it again. Okay. So I'm going to back this up a little bit and see. I'm going to paint in a very vague, painterly, just kind of an illusion of a background. And I want a little lamp in there, like a living room kind of scene, really classic and timeless. So I want to leave space for that. But I want it to be I want it to be homey and personal. I wonder what size we're looking at right now. Normally, I really hate an 8x10 crop. I don't want to do that. Okay. I normally really hate an 8x10 because I shoot with a crop ratio of 4:6. So you're trimming off part of the image. And I tend to like really environmental images where there's open space, where there's room to grow visually. And 8x10 feels really cramped to me. I feel like that might be where we're heading for this one, and we might end up flipping this, because with him being the bigger subject, I kind of want him out of that tension point, but we'll see how this plays out. Right now I really like the lights. We're gonna have a lamp, a living room, just almost like a shadow of those back behind them. But there is a lot to do before we get to that point. So I'm just going to go ahead and save because I can't help myself. I don't even think we've done anything. But I do want the background to be kind of even. And this is for a different image, but I'm going to snag the background real quick. So that's for another composite that we're going to work on. That's more of my typical imagery. It's a little bit melancholy, a little bit sad, but you know, important, regardless of being sad. Okay, so we have like a pretty intense gradient that's not going to be a factor in the final image. But right now I just kind of want the distractions taken away from me as I work on this. So this is kind of unnecessary extra work that I'm doing, but it'll help me visualize as we go on. And I don't know if I'm gonna have her standing. I think maybe those are all cut off anyway. But, you know, I can always take her into the studio for some reshoots. But my dad, you know, he won't always, he lives out of town, so he's not real easy to get into the studio. Okay, so we're just kind of starting to lay out the general ideas. I've got my sketch pad here and I always sketch out the composition, and then when I'm shooting, it adjusts and I end up changing it a fair amount. So this is, let's see, I think we're in pretty good shape here. I am going to flip the whole thing and see what we think. No, I don't like that. Do I? Maybe. Maybe I like that. I don't know. All right. I don't know. And maybe we ended up going kind of panoramic with this, because if there's not too much important back here, then it's just kind of unnecessary. So maybe I'm already changing the game plan here. But I really like the light on this. I'm going to play with that quite a bit. All right, so what I'm going to do is see about bending his arm. And I really would like to get it out of, wait, let's see here. I wish I had noticed that. That was silly. So we don't want to change the actual like makeup of his body. We just want to, so I would kind of like to get that shoulder out from his chin line. And I don't think there's anything. Do I have? No, I don't. All right. Trying to decide, just get an idea if this is worth the work it's gonna be. I think it is. A lot of times I want to tell myself, nah, that's not gonna be worth it. That's gonna be a lot of work when you could have just shot it right to begin with. But I didn't shoot it right. Okay, I don't want to break his arm, but I will if I have to. Okay, so we're gonna grab the trusty warp tool. For as much as I use it, you'd think I would find it a little bit sooner. There we go. Okay, so obviously we're gonna, no, I don't want to move. I want to make sure his hand is not moving. Okay, and then I'm going to go in here and grab this section. And then warp again. Okay, so then we just have to be wary of these edges. And then where is that double? Okay, so first I'm gonna go, actually, you know what? I think I will do this little guy first, because that's easier to be something that you don't notice until it's all flattened and and then you're trying to figure out what's off. Okay. All right, so we'll just delete, and then we can kind of soften just around the beard, especially just because we want to keep texture. The rest will kind of be painted over, so it won't be quite so noticeable. There we go. All right, I'm going to make that a little bigger just to soften these. Okay, I'm going to merge these. I'm trying not to squint. I'm failing. I can feel it. All right. And then we'll get a much bigger brush. Kind of get rid of this. Whoops. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab this again. I'll scooch it out of the way and go back down here and erase, because there's a pretty good chunk. Okay. And then we'll come back to this and we'll have to get that more. See, I've created a lot more work for myself, and then we'll have to decide if it is worthwhile. Okay, let's see. That way we will get a little bigger. I'm gonna try and okay, there we go. That's where it's gonna have to be able to dangle above her hand. So in order to make that match up, we're just gonna have to work. I missed a spot. Okay, so we'll be cutting it close down here again. Okay, still not. All right, so what we'll do here is bring this down and then warp. And I want to make sure that I'm not selecting, and we'll have to grab this chain from another image, just because that is gonna lose all of that beautiful light. All right, I'm just gonna delete that because I know for sure I'm not gonna. Okay, we'll make sure that that's all right. So now we have to go back and figure out if we want to continue with this, because all right, I like that. And I do like that. So let's go ahead with cleaning this up a little bit. Okay. And that, I already got rid of the, we could pick almost any of them. to grab the chain from so that we don't lose that clarity. I am leaning towards a different crop, and we could still do, yeah, we could do, all right, so in the locket is going to be a picture of my mom. It's going to be a picture of her grandmother, who she's named after, which obviously none of this the judges will know, none of this audience will know, but I have to make that a part of my story visually, which is totally doable. All right, I do like the arm. It is, when you're questioning whether or not it's worth it to put a bunch of extra work in for some detail, if you start it, it's gonna be worth it. If you start it, it's because you know in your heart of hearts that it's worthwhile. That's why you start, just to test. If you know it's gonna take a while. Okay, I'm just trying to, just trying to shake some of that harsher edging. Okay, and then okay, so I already see I want to bring that bottom of the bicep down a little bit. When we moved that arm, it just kind of lost its shape somewhat. Okay, and taking this background into a really, really dark tone is gonna help all these little idiosyncrasies across the dark pieces right now make sense. Because right now it just looks a little out of key. It looks like, you know, it's not set up right. So we've got to look beyond that right now until we get to the stage where we can fix it. Because we're not there yet. So I'm at a medium opacity here, just trying to blend those lines that are kind of stealing the show. And see the difference in clarity between what's connected to him and what's connected to the locket is stark. So I'm going to merge these, duplicate, and then we're going to replace each piece of chain. Because they kind of hung together, I'm going to replace them separately. And then that chain's a little bigger, so we're just going to match it at the bottom. And just give it a little bit of a Okay, that's what we want to see. So may end up, yeah, I think what we'll do here is just completely erase that portion of the chain because of how it interlaces with his hand, and make sure that we get rid of all the little bitty pieces kind of sticking over the corner of his hand, because it's super frustrating to go back in there and do something silly like that. And honestly, that's a lot of the competition pieces, or the difference between a merit, no merit, or between, you know, Imaging Excellence, which is formerly Loan, versus Amerit, are those little details. As frustrating as that is sometimes. It's good though too. Because it makes you keep an eye out for tiny imperfections that you just kind of maybe sometimes hope nobody else sees, because you don't want to mess with it, and that's why you want to leave yourself plenty of time. I didn't do that this year, and truly there is plenty of time between I gotta back up a little bit. There is plenty of time between now and district, which is what, you know, if I had to pick one image competition to do well at, it would be district / IPC for PPA. All right, and we might just warp this because you know I love, whoops, not like that though. All right, let's do this. I'm so sleepy. I can't stay up anymore. I don't last very long. Even on like New Year's Eve, I'm like, well, all right. But then when I have an image that I want to work on, it gives me a little burst of energy. There we go. And now we've got the chains with that nice light pattern, and have not all right, we'll duplicate this layer. Okay. All right, so those little simple things that could have been shot right the first time are in there. Okay, so there is some weirdness going on. Let me see if I can fix that in Liquify, because it's just like there's not a good weight to and I don't want to lose my clarity. So it's super minute change, but I think that's a good start. Okay, so I'm just gonna full on flatten and duplicate because I really don't see any of what we've done changing or wanting to go back before that. So I'm gonna start, okay, I think I have some with more of his chair. I do. That's for something different, but we'll grab one of these just to have his chair. I'd actually kind of like for it to be an armchair, and I don't know that I have a picture of an armchair. Okay. What if we don't do that? What if we do just go kind of wide? How do we feel about that? And put them, oh, okay, what if we did this? What if we went like, put them in the thirds? And then that's plenty of space. I'm gonna have to find an armchair or something to photograph to put him in. but I like the movement. They're not quite reaching hands. All right, so I'm gonna write this down because I need an armchair from this side. And I might have this in my image library. I just, I have to focus on where to find one, make sure it's the right angle. And I want a lamp, like kind of a, you know, we all had the same lamp at our grandparents' house. I want a lamp like that, grandparent lamp. And a picture frame, which I use picture frames a ton in my composites because I feel like that's a simple but still kind of intricate way to tell a piece of a story by adding a framed picture of something else. So I've used that a ton in Home of the Unknown Soldier, in Numbered Days. So at least twice. By a ton, I mean at least twice. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna save this as a separate progression because we changed the whole crop. So this will be progress 2. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab that. And this is just kind of, like I mentioned at the beginning, in vanity for me to be able to visualize what I'm going to be working on, because none of this is going to be, well, none of this background is going to be left. It'll all be, you know, painted over basically. There's a party going on downstairs. So what I want to do now is kind of burn down behind him. You know what? I think I'm going to do a different way. And I'm just going to clone some of this dark. Because I want a nice even. And then I can go in and, whoops, I don't want that hard line though. Okay. And we'll merge that back layer. And flip it and bring it over. And then we've got just kind of an even starting palette. So nope, I don't want to do that for sure. Merge layers, not merge visible. And then I'm going to, oh, you know what? Before I do that even, I want to darken there, but I'm gonna do that a little bit differently. Okay, so I just did that to make sure that I don't have any of those kind of ghosts from erasing back where I miss just where I'm going back like this and then I swipe a little further over. And her hair, I promise I brushed her hair. There's a little ghost left right there. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. First of all, I'm going to duplicate this and then hide one. And I'm going to run my magnetic lasso right along because he's got nice contrast. And then this gets darker enough that No, wrong one. There we go. So it gets darker enough that I can blend that a little bit without too much haloing, or I take that back. There's a fair amount of haloing. Okay, but now what I can do is go in there with because we don't want those heavy highlights anyway on the back of his head, and same with her. Most of that I'll get taken care of in processing anyway. Okay. All right, so we'll save this as progress 2 again. And it already exists, which we know. All right, so I'm going to, okay, so I want to add, I'm going to draw this out. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking in my head. Let's get, all right, so in the background, this is the new layer. So in the background, I want, I don't want an eraser. I want, where's my pencil? There it is. Can we see that? Here, let's do 100 so we can see it. Okay, so we want an armchair. So we want an armchair there. And then we want a lamp. Where do we want a lamp? Like right around here, right where this light spot is. Okay, so we want to explain to the viewer why there is a bright light on him and kind of a more subtle light on her. So we might move that up a little bit. But here's our lamp. Okay. And then here we'll have a picture frame. And the picture, there are 2 people in there, or ladybugs as my drawing would look like. So 2 people in here are gonna match the 2 people in here. So you'll be able to see that's the same picture. And then I need something over here that's gonna explain this highlight, or I need to get rid of this highlight. So we've got to have some kind of dresser or stand back here. But it'll just be kind of a shadow, just kind of a shimmer. And then we'll have picture frame, lamp, chair. I could probably pull a picture frame and a chair right now, but I don't have, I have a really specific lamp that I feel like all of our grandparents had, you know, where the plastic was left on. I won't do that in the image, but that's the kind of lamp that I'm thinking of. So I'm gonna have to go on a hunt with my Facebook friends and somebody's gonna have that lamp. I can think of a few people that might actually have that lamp for me. So I'm gonna save that because I wanna keep that sketch in my mind visually, you know, everything, so that I can check and see what it is that I need to work on. So for the time being, I'm going to keep the sketch out of it, but merge these layers and then duplicate again. So, and then save as a third progression so that I can keep working and have that just kind of eases my mind so that I'm not going to forget anything that I want to add to this. Okay, I want to see how sharp we're getting. Okay, that I like where that's at for him. Where's she at? Okay, that's a lot of grain, so we're gonna have to be aware of that. But it's because her face is so much darker. But again, he's gonna have the grandpa lamp. So now we're gonna reduce noise, and that'll smooth out, even out the skin tones. Okay, I like that. Nice. That's a good level. And then we'll decide down the road if we want to take the glasses off. I'm kind of leaning towards leaving them on. Okay, and that'll smooth out her little face too. All right, now I'm like distracted by how much I want to find the lamp. All right, so I'm trying to think. I have a lamp shade that I could use, and maybe we could grab a vase. I've got a vase back there that I think I could use, so we could piece that together. Once in a while, if I have something really specific, I'll have to go buy something, but I think we can get it together tonight. And then I have a table that I would like to use too. All right, so in fact, yeah, so I need a table, picture frame. Maybe we could do a window over here. That might be, we could do a window with maybe dusk. Okay. Okay, I'll quit distracting myself now. I'm gonna go ahead and play with the color balance a little bit so that when we are going into the background, then we can match the background to the coloring that's already there. Nope, I don't want to do that, but now I've got to wait. Okay. I gotta think of an armchair. It's hard when I know what I want it to look like. I have to find somebody that has exactly what I'm looking for. All right, so I'm going to make this easier on my future self and just smooth out her hair, because once we're putting a backdrop in, the cleaner edges that I have, the easier that part will be. And when I initially came up with this idea for this image, it was just going to be really simple on a black backdrop, just almost no details other than their faces and the locket. And as you can see, it's, again, my MO is to complicate things. But I like that. I like having more to the story than just simplicity. And this one's kind of sticking out all crazy, so I'll go ahead and rein that in. Okay. All right, so I have the chair that I photographed him in, but it doesn't have an arm, and I'd really like to have an arm. So I'll have to think about where to get an armchair. So I need to do a dresser, which I've got that. I've got a sideboard in there that I want to photograph. And we won't need a picture frame until that's done. So I think we're at a stalemate here on this, and then we can go in, match the lighting up, match the coloring up. That's when the really fun part starts. So that is for this one. that's going to be titled so you'll remember. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up, let me just close that out, and I'm going to open up Home for the Holidays. And this is going to be back to my MO of sad. 3, 4, 4, 6. So those were a little simpler. Okay. And I know, okay, so this one is going to have, okay, it's gonna be, where's my, this is gonna be long and tall. Not that tall though. Like, okay, so I had this idea before the holidays, and then that Wayfair ad with the old man trying to celebrate the holidays without his wife for the first time, and he was trying to do things the way she did them. They stole my idea. So it's not the other way around. They just knew somehow. But anyway, I'm gonna do it my way now. So here we are gonna have, we might need this a little wider. Let's duplicate here and move this around. Maybe a little taller even. Okay, so we're gonna have a Christmas tree. He's gonna be a big Christmas tree here, and there's gonna be, oh, you can't see that at all. Here, let's do this. There's gonna be one present. I'm gonna move the whole thing up, even though this is just my sketch, but I need to know what I'm photographing too. So I'd like to just have all the elements. So it's gonna be the tree, and I'm gonna use the tree from my Santa set. And then the one present, and then it's gonna be picture frames on the wall. Do I want a window? I don't think I want a window, because I'm just gonna have the light source be the tree. And it needs more to it. So this needs, okay, so I can find most of these. So we need the tree, the single present, the frames on the wall, and I know I have those as well, also from Home of the Unknown Soldier. Do I want a window? I have the windows photographed. I'm gonna think about that. I kind of am leaning towards no window. I'd love some feedback on that. If I do a window, it would be a snowy window. And I think maybe we need an armchair for this too, so we might have to go buy an armchair. So I've got some elements to photograph before I can go any further on either of these. Really without, there are things that I could do, but I feel like I would be undoing them later anyway. So, oh, and I also need to dig up the picture that I want to use, because I have a specific picture in mind for the locket. So I will definitely be back tomorrow afternoon, and I will have photographed many of these elements, hopefully all of these elements, because I'd like to get these 2 images knocked out, because hopefully I'll be shooting another composite towards the end of this week. I've been looking for a family to model for me. So I'm hoping that I keep looking at his eye if I'm gonna want to remove those glasses, but okay, so I want some feedback. Chat here, message me, comments on YouTube, whatever. Tell me what you think about the window for Home for the Holidays, and that's gonna be a nod to being home for the holidays, capital H. So I want some feedback. I don't want to waste time shooting extra elements that I'm not going to need or messing with editing them, but I spend a lot of my life in finding, photographing, and editing elements that I end up not using. So save me for myself. Tell me if that's a yay or a nay. And I will definitely be back tomorrow because, again, the deadlines are looming. I've already missed a couple for these images anyway. And thank you for being here so late. I'm going to go sleep. And I will be back tomorrow with clear eyes, new elements to photograph, and some images to work on. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye.
That's why you my mommy. Please.